What is up? What is up? What is up? I don't know if the microphone is working. Let's see. Let's see. So I don't know if the mic is working or not. Don't know how good the video is coming in either. Let's see. How good is the audio? I don't know. Let's see. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me at all? Good. How good is the video? I'm using a really crappy webcam, so don't know how good the audio or video is, but I guess it's whatever it is, what it is. That's what we're going to use. What's going on, everybody? I am the Reseller Rockefeller. This is my first YouTube live, so I want to pretty much answer. I want to talk to everybody, people that follow my channel, people that watch my my videos. And I'm pretty much here like an open book when I answer questions. I'm also going to show y'all a couple items that I picked up Friday. Actually, I picked up some items Thursday. I picked up some items Friday. I didn't go out today. I did hit one yard sale this morning, but I just stopped by it. I didn't go out yard selling at all. So, but I want to show y'all some items that I picked up on Thursday. I went and hit a estate sale right near my house Thursday. So that was super cool. Let's see. Let's try to wait and see if anybody else shows up. I don't see too many people going to be coming. But we'll get a couple of people in here, and we will definitely do what we do and talk about reselling. Pretty much that's all I want to talk about. But I definitely want to get some questions. I want to talk to some people that actually follow me and get some questions, and I want to answer some questions. But I definitely want to see if I can make sure I got everything correct. I don't know if it's not showing the chat. So let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, sorry about how crappy the quality is. This is my first time doing a live show, so not sure how good the audio and the video is going to be, but hopefully it's going to be good enough. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comments. I think I can see the comments now, or the chat, whatever you want to call it. And I want to answer some questions. Jack, is that Jack11 or Jackal1? So it says we got 5 people watching. What is going on, everybody? This is the Reseller Rockefeller, and this is my first live show. So I'm going to start off. I'm just going to show some items that I picked up Thursday. I picked up a bunch of, I stopped at a yard sale. It was like a pre-sale. They called me up on Thursday. They're going to have an estate sale, and they asked if I wanted to come over and buy some stuff. So I actually went over there. What's going on, Backcountry Sportsman? What's up, buddy? I'm about to tell the story. You texted me today and said you went to that estate sale by my house. I actually got a phone call from them on, it was Thursday, and I went to that estate sale, and I walked around. I looked at some stuff. I did buy some stuff. I bought like 18 pair of golf pants. They're all FootJoy, Nike. Some really nice ones. There's some really nice golf pants. I don't know how good that's going to show in the video, but they're really nice. They're in really good condition. I bought 18 pair, all different kinds, Nike, FootJoy. So these were purchased. I've already listed some, but one thing that you're going to be super, super jealous about, that I got from that estate sale on Thursday is this. Let me show you this item. This is what I picked up Thursday. I don't know how good that's going to come in on the camera. I'm going to take it out the bag, but I picked this up. You're not even going to believe what I paid for this. The actual face is messed up pretty bad. It's got some cracks, but on the dial. but it's a Hamilton, and it's a railway special pocket watch. And when I first picked it up, I didn't know how I wanted to approach trying to buy it. But I had already told them that I was a reseller. I told, that's why they called me, is they seen, I guess, some advertisement. I think they probably seen like a Craigslist ad or something. And it said that I buy out estates and stuff like that. Well, they wanted me to come over there and look at the estate and work out a deal. But then they had it all set up. They were going to have an estate sale, all that good stuff. But I ended up buying a few items, the pants. I bought this pocket watch, which this was a really big score. I ended up paying for the pants, the pocket watch, and 2 CD players. I ended up paying $175. So I don't really have much in this pocket watch. I'm going to actually replace the dial myself, and then I'm going to resell the watch. It is 14 karat. So it's definitely a good watch. It's a Hamilton. Hamilton makes really good watches. They're really, really sought after. But this was a super good score. I can't believe that I actually picked this up. I've purchased a ton of Hamiltons, but I've never found it just, and it was sitting in the bottom of a box. That's what really, really, I don't know how they didn't, I don't know. It just was weird. But I picked this up. I didn't go to yard sales today. That is the main thing. I wish I would have went to yard sales today, but I didn't. I don't know why. I was out looking at houses. I'm about to be moving soon, so it's definitely one of those things. Well, another reseller just went live. A much bigger reseller just went live. Rake and Profit. He just went live. So, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to test this live out. I've never done this before. Obviously, my channel, isn't that big. So getting a bunch of people in here is probably going to be hard, especially if there's other resellers doing a live show. But really, I just wanted to test this out and try to get it up and running so I can start doing live shows on a regular basis. So it's definitely, obviously it's working. Obviously it's, I'm live, but I'm going to upgrade the camera. I'm probably going to upgrade them, get a better camera, get a better microphone, blase. I was gone for a few days. I went up to North Carolina and just now kind of getting back into the swing of things, trying to get some stuff listed today. I've been listing pretty much all day. That's pretty much all I've done. I think I've listed close to about 50 items today. Lots of clothing items, listed some electronics. I listed a crap ton of Pokemon cards. I've been buying up Pokemon cards everywhere I go. And I've been listing them in lots and stuff. And they're just too hard to, look up. It takes too much time. But like I'll put up like a lot of Pokemon cards like this. And then I'll put it up for auction or something. And I'll spread them out so they can see what they're buying. And you'll be surprised how much some of these auctions are actually going for. Sometimes if I put up like 100 cards, they'll go for some good money. But that's really all I've been doing today is listing. Just trying to stay focused and list. The past couple of weeks, I kind of slacked up and I wasn't listing like I usually do. I try to list a little bit each and every day. I don't really try to list, and also another thing that I do is I split up listings. So I'll list like a little bit of clothing and then I'll switch it up and go to like gaming stuff or toys. And I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but it definitely seems like it does, because on those days that I focus on just one particular item, like if I just sit there and list nothing but records one day, it just seems like it doesn't do as much as if I, switch it up. I bought an entire collection of strawberry shortcake dolls today. How many did you get? Were they the big ones? Are you talking about the big dolls? Like, I'm not sure. I think they're like 9 or 12 inches. Or are you talking about the small ones? Those are pretty cool. I actually have quite a few dolls surprisingly listed on eBay. I probably have close to 40, maybe 50 dolls, just various brands, various sizes. Years and years ago, I purchased an entire estate in Jacksonville, and the gentleman that I purchased it from said his mother was a hoarder and that she hoarded or she collected and hoarded dolls her entire life. She was buying dolls off of these like QVC networks, and she was buying them, and then she was just sticking them in her house. And she ended up passing away, and I ended up getting the phone call from the son, and I ended up buying the entire estate for, I think I ended up paying like $3,500, and it was just a complete mess. There was, it was 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a pretty large home, and it was full of nothing but dolls, all kinds of dolls. Luckily, she was a collector, so most of them were new in the box. But I've been selling those for the past couple of years, and I still have, I still have quite a few of them listed, and I also have some that I haven't even listed yet. So it's definitely, one of those things that, I actually learned quite a bit about dolls. I try to learn everything about the items that I'm selling. If I buy an item, I'm usually going to research that item until I know quite a bit about it. And then it helps me when I'm out, sourcing the next time I'm out, buying. If I come across that item again, I'm going to have more knowledge about it, and I'm going to be able to make a better judgment call when it comes down to actually buying that item. But yeah, anyways, I purchased, another thing that I got. I know that you don't deal a lot in jewelry, but I just purchased a new diamond tester the other day. My old diamond tester started to act up, and it was super hard for me to test diamonds. Also, if you ever get into jewelry, the jewelry, the jewelry business has really, made some big changes over the past 5 or 10 years. The stones that they're producing now are crazy good. The moissanite forever stone that a lot of these higher end jewelry stores are selling, they're getting so good now that you could be a veteran jeweler with just your loop, and it's just super hard to identify a real diamond. I've been dealing in jewelry a long time, and some of those moissanites can really fool you. So I had to invest and buy another diamond tester. So I ended up calling a few friends of mine that are in the jewelry business and get them to recommend a diamond tester. And what they recommended was this one. It's the Lapis 1. And this diamond tester is just the best one on the market right now. It tests for, obviously diamond, moissanite, and simulant. And it also has the light up tip. So when you press down on the diamond, it will light up. And it's just a really good diamond tester. And they're actually not that expensive, a couple $100. And I've already used it. It works great. But yeah, this is something else that I had to, I've probably gone through at least 4 to 5 diamond testers in the past, 10 years. They just always wear out. They always stop working. And if you're in the business of buying jewelry or any kind of gemstones or diamonds, whatever the case may be, you have to have a diamond tester. You have to. Let's see. Hi, I'm from Jacksonville. The Roundabout Thrift. Are you in Jacksonville now, or are you from Jacksonville? Are you living in Jacksonville? From Missouri, what's going on? Ace Vinden. Do you ever buy in Jacksonville? Yeah, I go to Jacksonville all the time. I was just in Jacksonville about 4 or 5 days ago. I go to Jacksonville quite often. I go to the St. Augustine Beach area a lot. The estate sales and yard sales in St. Augustine can be really good sometimes. Jacksonville, I don't really go to yard sales or estate sales, but I will go down there. I have a couple of friends of mine that own some pawn shops in Jacksonville, and I go down there all the time and do some buying from them. I buy a lot of vintage electronics. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of pawn shops, they don't deal in vintage items. Most of them don't. There are some that will deal in like antiques and collectibles and vintage items, but for the most part, most pawn shops try to stay away from vintage items. So if you go and you form a relationship with the owners and you tell them that you're a buyer and that you're willing to go to their pawn shops and buy all of their vintage electronics, they will start buying it whenever it comes in, because you got to realize pawn shops get a lot of business. I mean, pay attention to how many people walk into a pawn shop on a daily basis selling stuff to them. So there's nothing better than having a couple of pawn shops, up your sleeve and having a relationship with the owners or the managers and having them pretty much buying items for you. And then they hold on to those items until you come. And then when you come, you make a deal on buying it all. I do that a lot. And I do it with a couple of pawn shops in Jacksonville. So that's really the only time I go to Jacksonville. Sometimes if I see something on Craigslist or Let Go, Offer Up, if I see something that's, a bigger ticket item, something high end that I'm wanting to buy and resell, I will go over to Jacksonville. I go to St. Augustine Beach. I go to their estate sales and yard sales sometimes. But yeah, Jacksonville, man, I can't believe you're so close. That's like right around the corner. We should definitely meet up sometime, man. We go out and hit some thrift stores, go to some yard sales or something. From Tennessee, Blackberry. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, so it's been rough, man. The past couple of months, just so much stuff has been happening. Business hasn't been too bad. Business has been really good. It's just other things in my life, trying to buy a home. I'm about to be purchasing a home here soon. We're going to be moving away from where we're living at now, and we're trying to find something bigger, something with some land, and potentially going to be building a building on it. So basically, my dream come true is to have a nice house on a piece of land with a pretty good sized building on the property. So, I can have my business and my family and my life, and it's all right there. Right now I am in a warehouse, and I'm about 15 minutes away from my house. So I come to the warehouse every day, and it's just hectic driving back and forth. On the days that I have my kids, I bring them to the warehouse, and I have the front office. It's pretty much set up like a playroom. It has a computer for the kids. It has toys for the kids. And they pretty much sit in there while I'm, obviously back here photographing, listing. And the warehouse is on the other side of these offices right now. If y'all haven't checked out any of my older videos and you want to know what my warehouse looks like, I haven't done a video in the warehouse in a while. Like, I haven't done like a tour video in a long time. So I'll probably do another tour video here soon, because my warehouse has changed a lot. I've done a lot of moving around. All right, Thrift Daddy question. Know anything about French Foreign Legion pins by Drago Paris? Drago Paris. I've heard the name. I mean, I'm not like an expert on pins, but I've definitely heard the name before. I would have to see it. You can shoot me if you're really looking for advice and information, take some pictures of it and shoot it over to me at ResellerRockefeller@gmail.com, and I'll take a look at it. And if I don't know what it is off the top of my head, then that's something that's Worth Point. I don't really do Worth Point, but I definitely will Google items. I'll definitely find something. I mean, when you type in Drago Paris, what pops up? Are you getting anything? Do they make anything else other than pins? Do they make jewelry, costume jewelry, or are they just a pin manufacturer? Some pins can be worth good money. Any signed piece of costume jewelry is worth more than the crappy Chinese, China, Japan crappy costume jewelry that you're used to today. any kind of, especially if it's vintage and it's signed, usually you can get a little bit more money for it. You know, it'll bring more money. So, but off the top of my head, I don't know, you know, right off the top of my head. They're around about thrift. Yeah, man, that sounds really good. I have a daughter and a son. So my son's 7, going on 8. My daughter's 3, going on 4. I'm all about reselling and family, man. That's really all that's all I do is work. And I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 15 years. I started making YouTube videos not long ago, and really what got me into making YouTube videos is I just started to kind of see more resellers putting content out, and I figured, you know, look, I've had 15 years experience doing it. And why not make a YouTube channel? Why not, you know, it's not really like a learning channel. Well, I wouldn't call it, you know, basically I started my channel to just kind of, you know, give out information, but my opinions, my information. I didn't really start the YouTube channel to like teach people how to become a reseller. I think that is something that you have to teach yourself. I think that reselling is something that, you know, it's like you either like it or you don't. And if you do, then you have a passion for it. You like it, you enjoy it. And if you like it and you enjoy it, then you're going to like the experience of learning and doing everything it takes to become better at your craft. And so, you know, I never really looked at my YouTube channel as like a learning channel or a teaching channel. You know, I'm not trying to teach people how to become a reseller. I'm trying to, you know, show people, you know, how to better themselves, better their business, you know, how to become successful and happy, and just share my business, my stories, you know, my advice, things like that. French military badges and pins only. Yeah, so I mean that's a good thing. I mean, if they're only in the you know, badges and pins, and they don't make all, you know, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know, Mike, I mean, it's you can definitely. I mean, when I first started, I was just like you, you know, just like you are now. That's how I was when I first started. When I was like 12 years old, and I started to buy things and resell them to make a profit. It almost gave me a high. It gave me a sense of direction. It gave me, you know, I was proud when I could go to a yard sale and I could find an item and I could resell that item to somebody else for more money. It really was great. And I was 12 years old when I first started, and it just started to progress, and I started to get better at it, and I started to like it even more. The more I did it, the more I liked it. And I mean, it took over. You know, I'm one of those. I'm a prime example of somebody that has been reselling their entire life. I know that there's a lot of people, especially on YouTube, that say that they've been reselling for a long time, and whatever the case may be. You know, some people have, some people haven't. But when you really think about it, I mean, I've been reselling since I was 12 years old. I have never worked for anybody a day in my life. I've never had, you know, a part-time job. I've never been employed by anybody. And when you actually put that in perspective and you actually think about that, that's a big accomplishment for somebody to go from 12 years old to now I'm 33 years old, and I've never worked for anybody. I own a home. I actually own 2 homes. You know, I have, you know, I consider myself to be successful. And it doesn't take much, you know, it doesn't take a lot to be successful in this business, you know. And, you know, me and Backcountry Sportsman were talking about this the other day. Shout out to him. We met up, we went garage selling, went to yard sales, and I had a fantastic time. He has an awesome truck, and it was really fun hanging out with him. But, you know, me and him had already talked about this one time. I mean, success is something that everybody, you know, has their own opinion of, you know, what is being successful. And for most people that I run into, you know, success means that you're happy, you're able to provide for your family, you're living, you know, comfortably. You're not, you know, you're not stressing over money as much. You know, that's successful. And, you know, that's all I've ever wanted to be, is successful. I never thought I was going to become a reseller and become like a multi-billionaire or a multi-millionaire. I never even dreamed of that. And I don't even think that's in, I mean, obviously I think it's in reach. If you want to expand your business to something that is more like corporate-y slash, you know, huge, and you have tons of employees and you're pretty much just the owner, CEO or something, you're nothing, you know. But to me, I have more, you know, I'm more, you know, wanting to actually run the business. I want to do it. You know, that's what I enjoy. I love going out and buying stuff. I love hunting for stuff. I love buying storage units. I love buying estates and being able to go through all of the boxes and all of the rooms in the attic. I love going on private picks when I get phone calls and they tell me they have, you know, a huge house full of items, and I get to go there and I get to pick through all of those items and find gems or find, you know, whatever it is that I want to buy. That's what gives me the thrill. That's what I love. And so I don't think I'll ever grow my business into something, you know, so big where I'm not touching the items. I'm not the one outsourcing. You know, I don't ever see that happening, but I definitely see my business growing, you know, substantially, which I've grown. You know, I've actually downsized. I don't talk about it much in my YouTube channel, but at one point in time, my business was actually 3 times the size of what it is now. And I actually downsized my business. And it was back when I was doing a lot of, like, you know, buying from auctions in bulk. I was buying like pallets full of electronics, and I was going to auctions all over the country, and I was buying, you know, 1,000 CD players at once. You know, I was buying, you know, 6,000 articles of clothing. There was a point where I was buying up a crap load of new merchandise, and I was reselling it pretty fast. And I just didn't like it as much. It wasn't that, you know, and a lot of people always ask me, do you do a lot of retail arbitrage? And I do every now and then, but it's not the same to me. I don't like dealing in new items as much. I mean, I will, if I'm out at a yard sale or an estate sale and I come across, you know, say, for instance, for an example, I was at an estate sale. A gentleman had like 6 cases of industrial door handles with the locks. I looked them up. They were selling for like $90 each for the lock set. And he was asking like $2 each. I ended up buying like 4 cases of them. That's really the only time that I go after new items. Other than that, you know, I don't really mess around with new items. I'm more into, you know, finding the unique items, the rare, unusual stuff. And, you know, some people have their own way of doing business, and some people have their way of doing business. And my way of doing business is I want to go after that kind of stuff, not the new stuff. And surprisingly, to me, I think there's more happiness, there's more pleasure finding something super cool. Like when I picked up this pocket watch, you know, I didn't, if this watch was a modern, you know, something that's modern and flashy, but not, you know, old and not gold, not real, I wouldn't have batted an eye, at a yard sale if this was like something modern. The only reason I batted an eye and got super excited is because it's a vintage Hamilton, and it's 14 karat gold, and it has, you know, it's wore down. You can tell that somebody used it. You can tell somebody, you know, had it in their pocket for years. And this is the kind of stuff that I love finding. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, I enjoy. And, you know, I'm actually, you know, pretty good at repairing watches and stuff. I kind of started to do it myself years and years ago when I started to spend quite a bit of money sending watches off to get repaired. I'll actually tell a story here in just a minute about a couple of watches that I've bought and sent off and got repaired. But basically, I was getting tired of, you know, spending the money that it would take to repair watches, and I just started to learn how to repair myself. I invested in some tools, some basic watch repair tools. And I think anybody in the reselling game, especially if you deal in watches, I think that, you know, you should have your basic tools to be able to switch out batteries, do things like that. If you need to replace a band or something, that goes for anything. I think that as a reseller, if you're dealing and buying and selling used items, I think that you should have enough knowledge to do really simple, basic repairs on everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it will save you so much money, and it'll also make you a lot more money. You know, I know a lot of resellers that they won't touch items. They, you know, if they bought a vintage Sansui stereo receiver and it needed a power cord, they would get rid of it. They would sell it as parts instead of taking, you know, 5 or 10 minutes out of your time and about, you know, $10 to repair that item. They get rid of it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I like to put in a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and I'll do, as long as it's reasonable. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars repairing an item and, you know, 7-8 hours you know, of my time, but I definitely will dedicate a little bit of time and a little bit of my money to repairing something if it's actually worth it. You know, if the item's gonna sell for good money. Let's see, the roundabout thrift, best find ever, strongest find ever, or strangest find ever. I'm sorry. Okay, well, my best find was actually just a couple weeks ago. It's so funny that you just said that, which the only reason I call it my best find is because it's the highest amount of money that I ever sold an item for. And, you know, it's the highest amount of money I've ever made selling just one item. And that was a couple weeks ago. I purchased a piece of equipment, and I'm going to go ahead and tell this story. So a couple weeks ago, I get a phone call, and it is a gentleman, and he says that him and his wife, for the past year or so, they've been buying storage units. They've been, you know, getting into the reselling business, and they decided that they are no longer wanting to do it, that they were just kind of doing it to supplement their income and more of a hobby. They are both retired. They don't really need the money. And so they called me up. They said that they seen my ad on Craigslist that I buy stuff, and they wanted to know if I was interested in coming out and taking a look at what they have and buying some stuff. So, you know, obviously I said yes. I asked them a few questions about, you know, what kind of stuff they have. I asked them, you know, why are they getting out of the business? All kinds of, you know, questions that I like to ask people before I drive over there to their, you know, their place of business or their house. Anyways, we ended up setting up a time in a place to meet. I ended up driving 1 hour and 45 minutes, and we got to their home, and I started to walk around. You know, I was buying stuff. I didn't go there to buy the whole estate. I was just going there to kind of do a walk around or a private pick, whatever you want to call it. So I ended up buying a few items. He ended up saying that he had some more stuff in a garage that he just recently bought from a storage auction. And if I wanted to take a look at it. So we walked out to the garage. I started to look through some boxes, and I started to find some Nintendo stuff that I was interested in. There was like 4 Nintendo consoles. There was about 35 Nintendo games. There was some other miscellaneous electronics. And as I was looking through that box, he said, I got something that you might be interested in. And I said, well, what is it? He said, it's a laser. And so I said, yeah, sure. Let me take a look at it. Well, he pulled out this box, and it was a really big box. If you guys know what a Pelican case is, it's pretty much identical to a Pelican case, one of those big insulated plastic cases. And on the top of the case, it said capital CAT, which is the cat manufacturer for tractors like heavy machinery, dozers, graders, things like that. And underneath it, it said grade leveling system, GPS system. So I opened the box up. I'm looking at it. I've never seen this piece of equipment before. I have no clue what it is. He said it was a laser. So I immediately go to my phone, and I pick up my phone, and I'm about to Google it, and I had no reception. I had no reception at all. So I ended up looking at the unit for, 5 or 10 minutes, and it was just quality. I could just tell that it was really, really high end. I could tell that it was worth, some money, but I didn't know how much money. So I ended up telling him, could he give me, 15 or 20 minutes? I was going to walk around his property to see if I could find a spot where I could get some reception. They didn't have internet set up at their house. So I ended up walking around this man's property for about 20 minutes trying to find reception, holding my phone up. And finally, I got 1 bar of reception. So I said, why not? Let me try to call a friend of mine that I know he deals in more of that kind of stuff. He knows about heavy equipment. He knows about, industrial type items. So I give him a call. I tell him what it is. He tells me that it's a GPS receiver system for a grader. And we were talking. I tried to tell him the model numbers. I couldn't really hear him. The phone was going in and out, and then the phone cut off. So I didn't have any reception. So I ended up going back inside the garage, and I was talking to the guy. I asked him how much he wanted for it. And we ended up doing a bundle deal for quite a few items. But if you break it down, I had roughly about $400 in this GPS system for a grader. So I ended up bringing the item home. I loaded up my truck. I ended up spending quite a bit of money that night. I can't remember the exact amount. I think I spent like $900 or $1,000. So I ended up bringing the item home. I didn't really do anything with the item. And then the next morning I got up and I started to Google these GPS systems for this grader. And once I started Googling them, I knew that this item was worth a lot of money. So I ended up calling the manufacturer, which CAT was not the manufacturer. CAT is just is what this item goes on. It's like the manufacturer, Trimble, makes the item for CAT. So I ended up calling the manufacturer, and they asked me to give them all the model numbers and serial numbers and all that good stuff. And they ended up telling me everything that I needed to know about the unit. And I ended up asking him how much it would cost if I purchased the unit from him. How much would it cost me? And he said that if I were to purchase that unit from them, it would be about $65,000. And I started to sweat. I was like, holy smokes. So then I started to look on eBay if I could find any completed listings of any of these that have ever sold. And I immediately found some that were selling for $15,000, $18,000, $20,000. But they were all older models. They weren't even the model of the one that I had. They were all older models. So anyways, long story short, I ended up calling a couple of different companies that deal in heavy equipment. they recommended that I call grading companies that that actually use the equipment. So that's what I did. I sat on the phone and I pretty much cold called. It was like 30 or 40 different grading companies. And I kept talking to owners. I kept talking to different people. And finally, I came across a gentleman that was interested. He ended up making an offer, and I ended up driving all the way to him. And I completed the deal pretty much within, I owned the item for about 4 days. So I purchased the item for $400. I held on to it for 4 days, and I ended up selling it for $25,000 is what I ended up taking for the item. And obviously there was some driving. There was some expenses of the hotel room. So I didn't make, I made roughly about $24,000 profit on that item. And that was literally just a couple of weeks ago. So that's probably my biggest find ever money-wise. But let's see. I mean, my best find is a totally different story. My best find was I bought a jewelry box at a yard sale for $11. It was a little wooden jewelry box, probably made in the late 1800s. And it had a bunch of costume jewelry in it. I ended up taking that home, and I was going through the drawers, pulling out the costume jewelry. And in the bottom of a drawer, there was what appeared to be a piece of glass about probably a half an inch long by probably a quarter of an inch wide. And it looked kind of like a piece of glass, but it had a different look. And so I was suspicious of it. So I put it in my shirt pocket, and I ended up forgetting about it. And later on that day, my father came over, and I pulled it out of my pocket and I handed it to him. And a little backstory on my father: he is an antique dealer. He's been dealing in antiques and collectibles for close to 40 years. So he immediately looked at it. He pulled out his loupe and he started looking at it, and he looked up at me, and I can remember like it was yesterday. He looked at me and he said, "Chad, where did you get this?" And I told him the story about buying it at a yard sale. Within a couple of days, we were on a flight to New Orleans, Louisiana. There is a really big jewelry store in New Orleans. It's downtown New Orleans on Decatur Street, and it's called Zeppa's. And we know the owner of it. And we went that very week. We flew down to New Orleans, and we ended up selling that diamond. It was a uncut diamond, and I think if I can remember correctly, this was years and years ago. I was probably 15 years old at the time. We ended up selling that diamond for, I think it was like $9,000, and I only paid $11 for the jewelry box. So that was my best find because it was something that was interesting. I love finding stuff like that. And then the way that I found it was super interesting. So to me, that's my best find. Even though I made more money on this GPS receiver, I love finding, weird, unusual stuff. So that's probably my best find. Phoenix, the reseller, the L1R. Wow. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's why we do this. You got that right, man. I mean, look, big deal, like big scores like that, they're very few and far between, but they definitely happen. And I'm going to tell you something. The more that you're out there, the more that you're actually, going to yard sales, going to thrift stores, going to flea markets, buying storage units, the more you put yourself out there, the better your odds are of, getting a huge score. Connections within this business mean everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, connections with other people is really, it's my driving force. Every day on a daily basis, I get anywhere between like 4 to 5 to sometimes 10 phone calls a day from people trying to sell items, to people that are, you know, out there picking and sourcing and then selling to me, and also people that are, you know, looking to sell off their estate, or that they have a warehouse and they have stuff that they're looking to sell. Making connections and putting your name out there and letting people know that you are a buyer, there's nothing, you know, that tops that. You need to be constantly doing that. I constantly am passing out my business cards. I'm constantly telling people that I'm a reseller, I'm a buyer, and I constantly try to reassure people that I'm nothing like a pawn shop. I'm nothing like, you know, I'm not going to try to smooth you over. I'm not going to try to rip you off. I'm going to be fair, but I'm also going to be a businessman, and I'm going to make sure that the deal is beneficial for me before I do it. But for the most part, you know, I get a lot of repeat people. I get a lot of people that keep coming back to me, that, you know, they refer me to other people. And, you know, as long as you stay honest and you stay true to yourself and to others, you know, being a reseller, being a buyer, especially in this day and age, you know, the economy is so down right now. Well, I wouldn't say the economy is down right now. I just think that so many people are looking to make extra cash. There's so many people out there that are trying to sell off something. You know, I do a lot of business on Craigslist. I do a lot of business on these selling apps like Let Go, Offer Up. I'm constantly buying stuff from there and reselling it. So, you know, I do a lot of reselling in general, you know, not only just yard sales, estate sales, thrift stores. I'm constantly out there. I'm constantly putting myself in a position to capitalize on a deal. And that's why I'm constantly, you know, coming across, you know, really good, fantastic deals. And I'm constantly able to find items and all that good stuff. Starting to get a little hot in here. Yeah, man, I really appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. This is obviously my first live stream. I'm hoping to start doing this, though. You know, I want to pick a day in the week or even on the weekend, and I want to start doing a live show at least once a week. Hopefully my channel will get bigger. My channel will start to grow. You know, I'm just now getting started into the YouTube. So hopefully my channel will start growing. My channel will get bigger, and I can start producing much more content. But I want all my viewers, everybody watching tonight, the very few small, you know, little group of you guys, I want to start knowing, like, what kind of videos y'all want to see. What do you want to actually hear about? That's what kind of inspires me. You know, I don't want to just make a video based on what I think that, you know, y'all need or want. I want to make a video that's going to actually make an impact. I want to, you know, focus on maybe one particular topic and make a video about it. One thing that I actually want to start doing is I want to start picking like different like categories of items. So like, say, you know, on a certain day I pick glass, you know, glassware, and then I want to do a whole video on nothing but glassware, how to determine where it's made, how old it is, how to determine what the value of it is just by looking at it. Because I think a lot of resellers this day and age, I think a lot of resellers are, you know, actually it's not I know a lot of resellers are passing up items at yard sales and estate sales. Not only do I see it in person on a daily basis, I mean, just recently, a couple weeks ago, I was at an estate sale with a few other resellers that I know personally. And as we walked into the estate sale, I went up to a table, and there was a stack of PlayStation games, Nintendo games, and some DVDs on a table right next to the DVDs and the games. There were some pieces of glass. There was some Tupperware. There was a few items just kind of spread out on the table. And as we walked in, all of those resellers went straight to the Legos, the video games, the DVDs. They didn't pay any attention to the left side of the table. and I ended up buying probably four, I think there was four really big pieces of sterling silver. There was a sterling silver serving tray, and that serving tray by itself weighed like over 180 grams. And then there was like a teapot that was sterling silver. There was a couple of cups that was sterling silver. I ended up buying like $500 worth of sterling silver for like $15. And the resellers that were standing right next to me, they went after the video games and the Legos and all that stuff. And that just kind of goes to show you that, you know, you have to be diverse. You have to realize, you know, even though you might not know about antiques or collectibles or glassware or pottery or jewelry, you should familiarize yourself with those items just in case you come across that kind of stuff. You can make a purchase based on what you know. And I just think that being, you know, a diverse seller, getting to you know, a point to where you know a little bit about everything is the best possible scenario for any reseller. And I started building that foundation at about 12 years old. I started to learn about everything. Me and Backcountry Sportsman the other day were talking about this. You know, at 12, from 12 to about 16 years old, I used to pick a certain day of the week, and I would study just one particular item. So for one day, say it was a Monday, I would study everything there is to do with Hot Wheels. Tuesday, I would study video games, or Wednesday, I would study pottery. And I would literally sit down and read books, get on the internet. And I started to build a wealth of knowledge. By the time I was 18, 19 years old, I knew so much about so many different items. There's no way that I was walking into a thrift store, a yard sale, or an estate sale and not being able to find anything. There just wasn't any way. You know, there's too much stuff out there to buy. If you have enough knowledge, you can make a killing in this business. So let me read some of these comments. I like just listening to you. You always hit an interesting info. It's fun for us to watch people that share the same passions. I just focus on sharing what you do until you find your sweet spot. That's what's up, man. I really appreciate it. You know, doing live videos is a little different. You know, and even filming videos, you know, you got to think about it. I never made videos before. You know, all of a sudden I go from being a reseller to making videos and putting them on YouTube. It's a huge transition, and viewers are expecting something from you. When you put a video on YouTube, they're expecting to gain something from those videos. And it's hard to make a video that is going to please everybody. So it's definitely difficult, but it's something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to share my story. I always wanted to share, you know, my passion, my love for reselling. There are a ton of resellers out there that don't look at reselling as anything other than a job. And I mean, I could talk about them all day long, but you know, there's just a lot of resellers on YouTube that they're picky about every little thing. You know what I'm saying? For instance, there's a certain YouTuber out there that all his videos revolve around is, you know, how to save 8 seconds when packing an item. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you start breaking down reselling into super small segments and you start trying to figure out all of these little details, I mean, there's a difference. If you're just trying to be organized and you're trying to, you know, have your shit together, you know what I'm saying? There's a huge difference in that and going way overboard on, you know, every little aspect of reselling. I mean, there's some resellers out there that have it down to a science, and you know, it's just different. You know, I don't think I don't think that they enjoy themselves doing what they do. I think that they are stressed out. I think that they are unhappy. They might be making money, but it doesn't look like they're enjoying themselves. And that's the main thing. This business is made for you to be successful and happy. If you're not happy and you're successful, then what is the point in doing it? I would rather go get a 9-to-5 job where I'm happy being a fitness instructor or working at a pool as a lifeguard and be happy and successful than be a reseller and be unhappy. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just think that so many resellers are on YouTube, not only preaching false information, let me put it this way. There is a ton of resellers on YouTube that are pretty much telling you to follow their eBay business. And there's so many people following these resellers, and I don't understand why. I don't see how it could be beneficial for any reseller to follow another reseller. All you are doing is replicating their business model. You're taking their business model and replicating it and making it your business model. But if you want to be better, if you want to achieve more than the next reseller, you have to think outside of the box. You have to do things differently. You have to do things better. You have to go above and beyond. So if all you're doing is following some reseller on on YouTube that's telling you these are the brands to buy, go to the thrift store, buy clothing and flip it, you're not going to be successful. And most of the resellers that are teaching you this stuff online are resellers part-time and YouTube content makers full-time. There is a huge difference in somebody like myself. I am a full-time reseller, and I devote probably 2% of my time to YouTube. Obviously, I think I should be devoting more time to YouTube because I enjoy it. But I'm a full-time reseller, and that's the main point here. And there's just too many resellers on YouTube that are full-time YouTube content makers and only part-time resellers. And they're portraying that they're making a fortune on eBay. In all reality, they are not making a fortune. They're making a moderate to successful living, because it's really not that hard to make, $7,000-8,000 a month on eBay. It's not hard at all. That kind of numbers can be achieved with a very small eBay store by yourself. And, it's just super easy to achieve those kind of numbers. So it's hard to talk, to talk about a topic that I don't know how to explain it. Like, I have a true passion for reselling. So I take reselling a little more serious than most. And sometimes I kind of go overboard when we start talking about, reselling as a whole. But for the most part, there's tons of really good resellers on YouTube. I watch a lot of resellers. I love the Craigslist Hunter. He is super, super, super cool. His videos, he's exactly, who you would want to follow is somebody like him. The Craigslist Hunter, not only does he know his stuff, but he's been doing it a long time. He doesn't care about, he cares about his YouTube channel, but he's not trying to become famous. And that's the big thing with today's, society. There's so many people that are trying to become famous and wealthy off of YouTube, and they don't care what information they give out. They're just giving out whatever information people are going to listen to so they can become famous on YouTube. But I follow the Craigslist Hunter. I follow quite a few different people on YouTube. There's a lot of really good resellers. And there's a lot of, resellers that give out a lot of really good information on YouTube. But for the most part, I I don't really follow them to learn anything. I follow them for more entertainment. If there's anything that I could preach to anybody watching right now, that would be to step your game up when it comes to knowledge. Try to learn about all kinds of stuff. Step outside of the box, learn about anything and everything, and you will be successful within this business. I mean, you have to have knowledge within the reselling business. You have to be able to go out and source and find good stuff. Yeah, you need to get up earlier and beat Rockefeller to the damn yard sales. Yeah, I mean, I get up early. I don't know what time you end up leaving, man, but honestly, I'm out of the house on Saturdays. Usually I leave my house by 5:30. I go grab breakfast. I hit the ATM. I try to, the night before on yard sale day, usually what I will do is I will go through all of the yard sales in my local area, and I'll try to pin out the yard sales that I want to hit first, the ones that I think are going to have stuff, and I'll go down the list from there. Have on a guest every other week just to talk shop. Those shows are usually very informative. Yeah, that's something that I also want to do. Phoenix the Reseller, Phoenix the Reselling L1R. Yeah, I want to actually get a guest on. I'm just now getting everything in motion. I gotta reach out to some resellers, but I definitely want to get a few people. I want to get a couple of people that can come on regularly. I'm not really sure yet. I don't know who has, a camera set up. I don't know who has all of the equipment to be able to do a live show, but that is definitely something that I want to do. I kind of want to get a group together that's somewhat local, at least a group of people in Florida that are kind of the same. I don't want to. I want to have a group that we have a lot in common, and we have the same principles and the same outlook on reselling. Thrift Daddy, Jim Bennett. Jim Bennett, that sounds familiar. I think he's on YouTube, isn't he? Thrift Daddy, Jim Bennett. I think I've heard his name before. I'm definitely going to be, producing, more content. I'm going to be doing a lot of really good stuff with YouTube, and I'm actually trying to get together a podcast. But I'm going to be doing YouTube. I'm going to be doing a podcast. I just now got started into YouTube not long ago. So, I have a huge, I have all the time in the world. So, there's going to be a lot to come when it comes down to making videos and producing content. I think that there's so many people out there trying to become resellers. There's a lot of people that are new to reselling, and there are even more people that don't even know about reselling yet that would love to become resellers. So, I've been talking with a friend of mine here in Gainesville that has he's been reselling for like maybe 6 months, and he's only 14 years old. And I've kind of been mentoring him a little bit, showing him the ropes, teaching him some things. And he is a super, super cool kid. And, I just think that this business gives people so much freedom, and it gives, I've watched it change people's lives. I've watched people go from working at a job that they hate to becoming a reseller and, putting a smile on their face and them living the happiest life they've ever lived because they decided to quit their corporate job and, get over here on the bandwagon, jump on the bandwagon of becoming a reseller. And I super, I like it, man. To me, I think that, reselling is something that, everybody should try out at least once, and I think that people should learn, no matter what. I think everybody should learn how to just sell items on eBay, because no matter what, even if you're not a reseller, you should want to be able to recoup some of your investments. If you're buying stuff on a regular basis, you should always, sell those items whenever they get old or whenever you don't want them anymore, instead of donating them or throwing them away or giving them away to a friend. Learn how to recoup your investments, and it goes a long way. That's how a lot of people get into reselling. I've talked to a lot of resellers that that they got into reselling just because they started selling some stuff around their house, and then they started to realize how much money they were making, and then they just started to buy some stuff, and then they just kind of the snowball effect, and then they became a reseller. Let's see, the roundabout thrift subject to discuss. China and dishes would be a good one. Yeah, I mean, the market is super weird. When you're talking about antiques, when you're talking about collectibles, the market kind of fluctuates just like, gold and silver in a sense. And there's also, trends and things that are popular and things that were popular and they're not popular anymore. And, China and dishes, I mean, there are, certain items out there that are super, super popular and super collectible and super rare, but then there's a lot of crap. And so this leads right back to my point of building your knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So if you're interested in buying and selling that kind of item, I would sit down one night, take 2 or 3 hours of your time and research about China, about dishes, ceramic, pottery, porcelain, things of that nature, and learn what are good names to look for. Also, there are, let me see if I can find them. I don't know if I have them right now. Let me see if I can find these. These are something that, these little books right here, I don't know if I've ever talked about these in any of my videos or not, but I keep these on me all the time. So like, I've already memorized a lot of these, but like these kind of books, these are the kind of books that you can keep and you can have like in your car or something. And if you read these books, it's a picker's pocket guide, how to pick antiques like a pro. And then down here at the bottom, it tells you, what they're talking about in this book. But these kinds of books, you can learn so much about, different items. So this one focuses on toys, Hot Wheels cars, little die-cast cars. But you can learn so much just by, reading a book like this. And then when you're out there and you're sourcing and you're at a yard sale, if you pick up this truck, you immediately think back to, oh, I know what that is. That's a blah, 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 made in 1969. And that is the kind of knowledge that you need. You need to constantly be feeding your brain these kinds of knowledge. And I'm constantly reading books. I'm constantly, going through books and looking up different things. And even if it's something that I've never dealt in before, I'm constantly trying to learn more. And that's the main thing. So like, this is one of the best books that I use. I use this book on pretty much a daily basis. I mean, it's wore down, beat up. This book tells you a lot, especially when you're talking about dishes, when you're talking about glassware. There's so many different, even with just one maker, say you're looking at a certain maker of, let's say, a piece of glass. Within that one maker, there's so many different designs and patterns and colors. And so you have to kind of know all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? To become like a professional, picker, to where you're able to pick up a piece of glass. You're not only being able to identify the year, make, you're able to identify every aspect of an item. And that way, exactly what it is. I mean, some of this stuff you're not going to be able to just search unless you know the names. So that's why I try to build so much knowledge, because even though we have cell phones today and we're able to Google stuff and we're able to look on eBay, the only time that's going to come in handy is if you know the name of the item or you have the model number or, you know, something of that nature. If you go to an estate sale and you pick up an item like this, how are you going to look that up other than typing in Bell? You're not going to be able to look this up. You're not going to know what it is. You know, you're going to know it's a bell, but if you don't have any knowledge, then how are you going to know what this is? You know what I'm saying? So that is my whole, you know, emphasis on building knowledge and constantly feeding your brain knowledge. This is another book that I swear to you, if you are a reseller and you deal in antiques or you're trying to deal in antiques, you're trying to become familiarize yourself with antiques, whatever the case may be, this book right here has saved my butt so many times, it's not even funny. And all it is a book that pretty much has all the different maker marks. So like you can just look at it, and if you have an item in front of you and you don't know what that maker mark is, you can look inside this book and you can see, you can find so it has different sections. So like it has silver, and then it has ceramic, glassware, pottery, stoneware, toys, dolls, and you can look up any maker's mark and you can immediately identify the item and you can determine the year it was made. And you know, this is my go-to book. If I pick up an item at a yard sale, at an estate sale, and I don't know what it is, I can always go and reference to this book. I would not be able to do that on Google. If I tried to go on my phone, I wouldn't have anything to go by to Google. So these kinds of books are keys to not only building your knowledge on items, but just having them and constantly researching them, constantly reading them, constantly looking up items. And you're naturally going to absorb this information. So I've owned this book for, this is a 2015 issue. So I've owned it since 2015, and I have absorbed so much information out of this book. I mean, I think that I can almost memorize. I think I have most of these almost memorized. So, and I started to notice it after I was going to yard sales and estate sales. You know, you'll start noticing yourself picking up an item and looking at the bottom of it and seeing a maker's mark, and then immediately remembering, oh, that's made by the Franklin brothers. You know, you immediately remember it because you read it in the book and you've seen it. And, you know, reading is a lot. It has a lot to do with how successful I am. I mean, research, reading, all of that has a tremendous impact on how successful you are within this business. So I don't know, my camera for some reason just fell down a little bit. But anyways, yeah, I mean, go grab these books. I think these are sold at like Books A Million or Barnes and Nobles. You can buy these at any, you know, bookstore. These I actually ordered offline. I actually ordered these off Amazon. I actually purchased like 3 or 4 boxes of Hot Wheels probably 2-3 years ago, and I learned quite a bit about Hot Wheels back then. But I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to, focus on. I wanted a book to be able to look up, a Hot Wheel car really fast. And this book, you can look up any Hot Wheel car like that. So, yeah, and I read tons of books. It's not, it's not just books like that. I read all kinds of books that have to do with antiques, collectibles, things of that nature. I just now started to read more and more about art. So I've started to get into art. And, some people might say I'm stupid. Some people might say I'm funny. But art is something that you can make a lot of money on. I've watched fellow friends of mine that are resellers buy a piece of art from an estate sale for $1,000 and literally sell it for $75,000 to $80,000. I know quite a few people that are resellers that have done that. So I'm starting to build my knowledge about art. I'm starting to learn about different canvases, water-based, oil-based paints, things of that nature. How to identify, a real antique piece of art, versus a modern piece of art. And so far, so good. I've bought a couple of, actually, I just recently bought a piece of art off of Craigslist. I was on Craigslist. I seen a piece of art and I purchased it. I think I paid $75. I ended up calling a gallery and they ended up telling me that if I were to put it at auction, that they think it'll bring anywhere from $2,500 to about $3,500. So I bought the piece of art for $75 and I'm probably going to make $2,500 to $3,000, depending on how much it sells for and depending on how much the auction takes, percentage wise off that. Find a mini blind store. I'm not sure. Let's see. For small boxes, are they behind stores? I get 90% for free. Dumpster dive for mine. Yeah, I get all my boxes. Not all of them. I get a lot of the smaller little boxes. They're all over there. But like my really small little boxes, I just order those because I can't ever find them out at dumpsters anywhere. But for the most part, most of all of the boxes that I get, they either come from a dumpster or they come from actual businesses. So if you go to a big box store, so for instance, my Office Max, Publix, and the Guitar Center, I have formed a relationship with all three of those places, and they save me boxes. And once a week, I'll stop by each one of their locations and I'll pick up boxes. And I'll also, go dumpster diving for boxes. But yeah, I mean, pretty much I get all my boxes for free. So if you're out there and you're spending a buttload of money ordering boxes, you need to figure out a better way to, get some boxes, because there definitely is ways out there, to save a buck. You need to be out there trying to get, free boxes. Yeah, Dollar General. I actually used to go to the Dollar General in Jonesville and get boxes all the time. But, I have a few locations that are by my house, and they supply enough boxes for me. I don't really need to go anywhere else. But if I do, I'm definitely going to go hit up Dollar General. You will get the 6x8. Oh, so they got the small boxes. Well, I'm going to have to go check it out, because I use a lot of small boxes. I ship out a lot of, small little items, trinkets, little antiques, things like that. So I'm constantly using small boxes, and I use a lot of poly mailers for clothing items. And I use a lot of big boxes for everything else that I ship out. I ship a lot of stuff. I was actually just talking to another reseller the other day, and he was shocked that I ship out such big items. Like, look, if you're going to be a reseller and you're in this game to make money, and you know how to package an item, you know how to correctly ship an item, there should be no reason for you not to be shipping big items, large items, heavy items. I ship stuff freight. I ship stuff, United States Postal Service, FedEx, UPS. I ship stuff via uship.com. I ship stuff via the Greyhound bus service. I ship stuff all kinds of ways. I mean, I sell all kinds. I just shipped out a 3-wheel bicycle. Literally before I left, the weekend before I left on my trip, I shipped out a 3-wheel bicycle. Cost me $125 to ship a 3-wheel bike from here to upstate New York. I ship out all kind of stuff. Constantly shipping out, all kind of stuff. But anyways, yeah, I mean, What time is it? 7:21. Anybody got some more questions? Anybody got some more questions? I'm probably going to be getting off here soon. It definitely was super cool hanging out. I know this was my first show. Audio quality wasn't good. The video quality wasn't good. But I really appreciate, everybody that stopped by, everybody that watched the live show. And hopefully, we can get some more live shows going. I like doing live shows because I can answer questions and I feel like I'm engaging with you instead of just making a video and y'all, watching whatever it is that I made. I feel like a live show gives y'all an opportunity to, ask questions and interact. I never find blank boxes behind Dollar General, and the ones I do are cut. Yeah, I mean, when I used to go to Dollar General by my house, the boxes used to always be cut up real bad and beat up, and they also used to have like weird stickers on them or all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna have to go check out what Mike's talking about. All right, Thrift Daddy question: do you use 14 karat acid to test 10 karat gold instead of 10 karat acid? Alrighty, I mean, this is a good question. Do I use 14 karat acid to test 10 karat gold, or do I use 10 karat acid? I use them both. It just depends. So first things first, when you get together some gold, say you have a couple of items, immediately identify, your 18 karat, your 24 karat, your 14 karat, your 10 karat, and then put start scratching. Usually I start scratching 10 karat first, and then I'll do 14 and then 18, whatever the case may be. Then what I will do is I will use my 14 karat acid first to see if it's real. And the reason that I do that is because 10 karat acid, depending on the metals, will sometimes not dissipate, or, it won't burn off fast enough. So sometimes you can scratch an item that might be gold plated or gold filled. And if you put the 10 karat acid on it, it might give you a false reading. So I use my 14 karat acid first to see if it's even real by how fast it will eat it away. And if it doesn't, then I will put my 10 karat acid on there and determine if it's 10 karat or 14 karat. And also I have testing pins. I'm not sure if you have testing pins, but they're the pins that you can buy that have 10 karat, 14 karat, and 18 karat, 24 karat on the tips. And you do a mark next to the mark that you made. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I use them both, but most of the time, this is just from experience, not trying to act like I'm on a high horse or nothing, but I mean, most of the times I can identify gold by just looking at it. I know that sounds stupid, but gold has a certain feel. It has a certain texture. It has a certain look. You can identify it, pretty quickly by looking at it, and then looking at the markings, looking at the piece in general, the quality of it. But if you're going to be in the business of buying jewelry, I definitely recommend that you buy a good testing kit. I've heard of some jewelers. I've heard of some people buying some testing kits off of eBay, and the acid not being that good. So you need to be careful with buying acid off of eBay. Make sure you're buying from a reputable seller, because I know of people that have bought acid off of eBay, and they've gotten some false readings, and they were purchasing fake gold. So make sure that wherever you're buying your acid and your testing supplies, you're getting a good one. I don't know if you were in the chat when I first started and I was talking about my new diamond tester. I'll put a link down in the description of where I got it. But this is my new diamond tester. It's the Lapis 1. By far, it's the best diamond tester on the market, hands down. And it does test for moissanite. And it's a nice one, man. I've had probably over the past 5 or 6 years, I've probably had 10 different diamond testers. And this one, it works great, and it tests perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's accurate every time, and it's fast. It doesn't take any time to warm up. It holds a good charge for almost 10 hours, so you don't have to plug it up. It has a rechargeable battery, so you don't have to replace the battery in it. And it's just a super nice diamond tester. So if any of you are out there and you're out there buying jewelry and you're out there buying diamonds, get yourself a diamond tester and make sure that you get the Lapis 1. This diamond tester right here is the best one on the market, hands down. I will vouch for this one. I've had it for about, I've had this for about 3 weeks, and I've already tested a crap ton of diamonds. I've tested a lot of stones with it, and it works great. So, yeah, I just had to pick that up. My last diamond tester was giving me some false readings. And when you're dealing with diamonds, you definitely don't want to have a diamond tester giving you false readings. So I had to buy up. I had to spend some money, but I'll actually put a link down in the description for this one. And if you guys want to go, if you want to go look at it, check it out, buy it, whatever the case may be, you can go do that. But anyways, yeah. Anybody else got any more questions? I'm probably going to be getting off. So what I was saying, I want to do a live video once a week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it every night on Saturday or if I'm going to choose a day during the week, but I want to choose a certain day, a particular day to do a live show at a certain time, and I want to keep it that way so it becomes, a routine for not only me, but for my viewers, so everybody knows, when I'm going to be going live. And I also want to start inviting. I have an idea of, I want to start inviting. I know that a lot of newer resellers, they don't like to get on YouTube because they're new. And that's sad because YouTube should be different. I'm sorry to say, but like resellers on YouTube have made it so bad that, a lot of newer resellers, they don't like talking, in public. They don't like opening up to people. They don't like sharing their business, their story, because they don't want to be looked at as the small reseller, or they don't want to be looked at as the one that's not making the big money, or whatever the case may be. It seems like a lot of resellers these days are all about bragging. I hear about it all the time on YouTube. I actually watch some of these guys in their YouTube channel. And, they're making videos saying that they're the biggest seller in the clothing industry. They're the biggest, how much they did that month. They always post a screenshot of their monthly earnings on eBay. And what that does is that makes smaller resellers discouraged. It makes them feel like that they're not good enough, or that they're never going to get to that point. And I don't know. It's not a good vibe. But I recently had a long talk with a newer reseller, a younger reseller that has only been selling for 5 or 6 months, and he said he was bashed on some Facebook group, and it's crazy that there's so many good resellers out there that have good information. But the way that they carry themselves, the way that they portray that information to their viewers, as if they don't, they don't really care. They're just trying to make a buck off of YouTube. But anyways, folks, I am going to be getting off of here. I want to say thanks to everybody who stopped by, and hopefully these live shows will get bigger. Hopefully my YouTube channel will get bigger. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up. That's what I guess puts this video up in the search rankings. I don't really know. I'm not a YouTube expert, but I'm pretty sure it helps me in some way. Anyways, folks, go subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. If you ever got any questions, it doesn't matter what it's about, you can always message me. Shoot me a message on Instagram if you have an Instagram account. I'm the Reseller Rockefeller. Or you can go to Twitter, King of Resell, or you can send me an email at ResellerRockefeller at gmail.com. So you can do any one of those. You can message me and ask me any questions that you like, or you can always leave it down in the comments of any video. I'm pretty fast at responding to comments. And if you are interested, in being on this show, coming on and sitting down and talking to me about reselling, let me know. Send me a message, ResellerRockefeller at gmail.com. If you are interested, let me know. I'm trying to get not only veterans, but I want to get newer resellers. I want to carry conversations with not only veterans, but people that are new to reselling, people that are just now getting into reselling. So if you're interested in that, please let me know and we can put something together. Also, I'm looking to, I want to start doing, if you follow Bonafide Hustler, if you follow the Rockstar Flipper, if you follow Raking Profits, all of those guys, they have a show that they do called Thrift Battle, where they battle each other on finds that they find at the thrift store. Well, I want to do a spinoff to that show, and I want to do thrift or yard sale wars. So pretty much the same concept, but it's going out and hitting yard sales. And the reason why I don't want to do thrift battles is because there's no negotiation. So it's pretty much whoever is the luckiest one to find the best item at the thrift store wins. As in with reselling, I mean, as in going to yard sales, there is negotiating involved. So not only are you getting lucky and finding a good item at a yard sale, but it's also how good are you at negotiating. And I think that'll be extremely cool because I think I'm a super good negotiator, and that means a lot in the reselling business. If you're a really good negotiator, prices pretty much don't matter because you're going to be able to negotiate down to whatever price that you want to pay for the item. Anyways, folks, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Thanks a lot for watching this show. Peace.